Hello, welcome to A Differentiated Life, Session 4. It's great to be with you all again. Now, my name is Kathryn and I'm a counselling psychologist, and these videos are all about equipping you with some great skills to support you during this unprecedented time in our lives. My work is grounded in the concept that maturing our differentiation transforms our well-being and the well-being of our relationships. Hopefully, as well as watching these videos, you've also been able to join the Facebook group that I've set up that's linked to my page. And that's where I'm going to put all the resources that I refer to. I reckon it's just going to be an easier place for you to find everything all together. So today, I'm going to introduce you to a superpower called focusing. If you're familiar with mindfulness, I sometimes refer to focusing as mindfulness +1. And I love introducing it to clients because not only does it enable you to connect with how you're feeling, it also creates shifts in mindset from a situation where there was no possibility becomes one where there is hope. So back in the 1950s, a guy called Eugene Gendlin from the University of Chicago wanted to understand why psychotherapy was helpful for some people, but not for others. Him and his colleagues studied hundreds of therapy sessions, and he made a really unexpected discovery. He found that successful therapy clients do something more than worry about the future or react to the past. Instead, they're able to pause and pay attention to what's happening in the present moment in their bodies in response to the problem at hand, sometimes in ways that words couldn't easily convey. Gendlin wanted this to be available to everybody, so he developed the process of focusing. Now, my therapeutic practice draws upon the work of Ann Weiser Cornell, who took Gendlin's work and translated it and developed it. She's the author of The Radical Acceptance of Everything, Living a Focusing Life, which I believe you'll find on Amazon, and her website details are in the post with this video. I find her approach really accessible and straightforward, and I love using it, which is why I want to introduce it to you today. So what's focusing got to do with differentiation? Well, growing in our differentiation requires us to become more closely connected with ourselves, to better understand how we're feeling and get more skilled in managing those feelings so that they don't push within us unthinkingly and turn into psychological or physical symptoms, or push out of us as we try to bind our anxiety through others. Focusing offers a direct route to the core of our feeling self. It offers a means to connect with those feelings and facilitate change. But differentiation is also about developing a really solid sense of identity. It's the capacity to know who we are and choose to do what we need to do, even when other people make contradictory demands upon us. Focusing helps us identify what we really want and what we really need. And it can give us the confidence to enable us to take a decision that honours our own self, not just other people's needs. So to help you understand focusing, I'm going to offer you a client case study. Now, this isn't based on a single client, but drawn from my years of clinical practice. And now it's... I don't actually know how to cut and paste videos yet, so I'm really sorry. You're going to have to cope with a sneeze in the middle of the video. That's how it'll always be when I talk about my clients, that I won't draw from one single client, but it'll be like an amalgamation of different people's experiences. So this client started therapy because he had symptoms of depression. He was sleeping badly, he'd lost all motivation with his work, and he was withdrawing from his partner and from his other friends. He would call himself quite a practical, rational thinker, very solution orientated. He's not touchy-feely in the slightest. In case you were thinking that this emotion stuff is really not for you, it really is, even if you don't feel like you're very emotional. We'd worked together for about 4 months, and over that time he'd already started to invest in himself, to articulate his needs, and became more present and assertive in his relationships. And as he'd done that, he'd found that his depression had lifted. He'd become more optimistic and hopeful, and he was preparing to end therapy. But this session he came in looking very distressed. His boss had suddenly left his position in the middle of a vital project that was incredibly important to his company. It looked like the whole project was on tenterhooks, and he was feeling the pressure. On one hand, he felt compelled to fix it, to jump in, to seek solutions, to take the reins of the project. But on the other hand, he knew that if he did this, all the gains in his recovery would be lost. He wouldn't have any time for the hobbies that he'd started to take up. He wouldn't have any more time to invest in deepening his connection with his partner. And he was scared that he'd enter a really dark place again. He felt absolutely overwhelmed and didn't know where to turn. So by this stage, I had enough trust with him to invite him to pause and do some focusing. So I invited him to slow everything down, to settle himself into his chair, to close his eyes, and to notice his breathing. To pause and look into his body and attend to where all that emotion was located right now. He described it being in his chest, making his breathing really shallow. And we stayed there for a moment, noticing the feeling. Then I invited him to capture a whole sense of it. And this often comes out like a metaphor. It's amazing because what seems like it was completely incoherent, as you start to speak it, suddenly it forms a whole that can be articulated. And he began expressing the fact that he felt like a coiled spring. And as the image became clearer in his mind's eye, he said he felt like he was crouched down at the blocks at the beginning of the race line. He was poised and ready for the race to start. There was that anticipation, that adrenaline, that pent-up energy. But he really didn't want to have to run the race. He felt really fearful. So we stayed there in that moment. And I gradually walked together with him through the focusing process that Ann Weiser Cornell uses. And you'll find that in the resources group linked to this website. It uses really simple phrases to help us get bigger than our feelings and to connect with them. So first of all, you take that feeling. I feel fearful. And we shift it to something in me feels fearful. This allows us to get bigger than our feelings rather than feeling taken over by them. And at each stage you can pause and notice how you feel inside. There's no rush. The next step is that you add a phrase. I'm saying hello to it. Something in me feels fearful, and I'm saying hello to it. Every difficult feeling we have is temporary. They're all on their way to becoming something different. When you say hello to that something in you, you're acknowledging that's how it is, and it gives it space to change. You then place a gentle hand on it. There's something in me that feels fearful, and I'm saying hello to it. And place that gentle hand. That offers a soothing connection to that something in you that feels fearful. And finally, we offer that part of us compassion and understanding. There always is a good reason to feel the way we do, even if we don't know what that good reason is yet. So you say, there's something in me that feels fearful, and I'm saying hello to it. No wonder. No wonder you feel the way you do. And as we walked through this process over the course of 5 or 10 minutes, or perhaps even longer, his face changed and brightened. And he said, I can see in my mind's eye that rather than being crouched down, poised to run, I just got up and walked away. He said, I can choose not to run the race. I can step away. I can take meaningful decisions. I don't have to be inactive, but I can do it my way, the way that feels right to me. And he ended the session feeling quite peaceful and calm, with an inner certainty he couldn't gain before about how he would act in this unexpected situation. So I want to encourage you today to try this for yourself. When you're struggling, find somewhere quiet and take a few moments to connect with how you are. I often encourage my clients to do it just before bed. It's a quiet space when you are able to have some time to yourself and calm yourself before you get ready to sleep. You'll find the resource in the group, and I wish you all the best trying it out. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next session.